Muted.
Michael Gummel from Paradigm Technology Consulting. Thank you for joining our budgeting and forecasting with Centage Budget Maestro this afternoon. As I mentioned, my name is Michael Gummel from Paradigm Technology Consulting. We will also have Sue Troop and Mike Matthews from Centage, who will be taking us through. Sue will be kicking it off with some brief slides just as an overview intro to Centage, and then Mike will kick in and go through a product demonstration for everyone. Just to let everyone know, this session is being recorded, so if for some reason you wish not to be recorded, now is your time to drop off. We will also make this available for additional for everyone afterwards as well if they want to go back and review anything. So what is Centage Budget Maestro? The product essentially is a tool that will allow you to budget and forecast with information coming directly out of the Dynamics GP product using a Link Maestro product that I'm sure Sue and Mike will be talking about as we go through here. Some of the reasons that Paradigm has partnered with Centage over the past, we've taken a look at a number of different budget tools over the years, and the Budget Maestro tool is one of the easier tools to work with. Also, one of the few that has a direct link with the Dynamics GP products, so we can pull the information directly out. There's no rekeying of information, no importing and exporting, which can sometimes cause some issues with some other products. And another one of the key features that we looked at with the Budget Maestro is they're one of the only budgeting tools that we're familiar with that actually will allow us to do budgets on a cash basis as well. So not only can you do your accrual basis budgeting, which everybody's kind of familiar with, but it will also allow you to go in and take a look at what is your projected cash position based upon your budgeting as well. So that's a fantastic attribute there of the Budget Maestro tool. So I'm sure Mike will hit upon that a little bit as well as we move through here. So with that, I am going to turn the presentation over to Sue Troop from Centage. So Sue, if you want to go ahead and take over here.
Definitely. Thanks so much, Michael. I really appreciate it. I appreciate everyone here. Thanks for taking the time to check out Budget Maestro from Centage in more detail, and especially appreciate Jason and Michael from Paradigm Technology Consulting for putting this webinar together today. Like you said, my name is Sue Troop, and I'm part of the channels team here at Centage. I work directly with the partners to provide marketing information, as well as webinars like these to assist you in learning more about Budget Maestro as a whole. So today's featured presenters, like you said, is definitely going to be myself, Sue Troop, as well as my colleague, Mike Matthews. He's our expert solution engineer. And if you have any general questions, let's definitely hold them to the end. But if you'd like actually to even take a deeper dive, we can schedule a separate call for that. So let me just get my screen up here. Can everyone see my screen?
Yeah, and Sue, just so you know, I have everyone muted just so we don't have a ton of background noise going on. I find when we have these larger attendees that it's better to have everyone muted. So in terms of questions, they can go ahead and submit questions in the chat box, and I'll kind of be taking a look at those as we go through here. And make sure we, hit any of those questions at the end. So, attendees, please feel free to go ahead and use the chat to ask any questions. At the end, we can also open it up and see if there's any live questions on the phone as well. So, sorry, Sue, I just wanted to jump in and mention that as we go through here as well. So.
Oh, no worries, no worries. Thanks, Michael. I appreciate it. So, can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can see
it. You can see it? Okay, perfect.
Yep.
So basically, the Maestro suite makes budgeting, forecasting, and reporting faster, easier, and more accurate to your business. We do this by automating the most repetitive and error-prone tasks and by leveraging built-in business and financial intelligence. Budget Maestro is the core budgeting and forecasting tool, while Link Maestro is the ETL tool for general ledger integration, and Analytics Maestro is the dashboard reporting tool. So all three of these products are included in the Maestro suite. Link Maestro automates the exchange of financial information between your accounting ERP system and Budget Maestro. This is a seamless connection between Budget Maestro and your ERP application, and it makes it quick and easy to start your budgeting process and conduct month-long various reporting and analysis. You know, some of the key benefits include save time. You know, you're providing a shorter budget cycle, which, you know, in turn helps you with month-end close. It's improved accuracy. It helps automate the budget process and maintain the model with the built-in financial logic and rules instead of formulas and links. You know, there's also increased accountability, enables and encourages collaboration. You know, you also get more buy-in from your various department managers. It has enhanced responsiveness. You know, you use this model to create unlimited what-if scenarios and added sophistication. It's really easy to use. We also have upgraded flexibility. You know, you have access to unlimited budget and forecast versions with different views for the board, bank, execs, finance, whichever you have there. Here are just a few of the customers who purchased Budget Maestro. You know, the important thing to keep in mind is Centage built the Maestro suite to be easily configurable and industry agnostic. You'll find Maestro users across the globe, you know, at both small nonprofits, you know, all the way up to Fortune 500 companies. You know, so again, thanks for being here today. Here's Mike. He's our Budget Maestro sales engineer, and he's going to go through the technical portion of the webinar. So take it away, Mike.
All right, excellent. Thanks, Sue.
And Mike, I've just made you the presenter there, so you can go ahead and kick in.
All right. I just want to confirm you can see our screen here with Link Maestro on the left-hand side here.
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. Alrighty, so just wanted to quickly touch upon, you know, the unique integration that we have with Dynamics GP. So this is our ETL tool, Link Maestro. So again, this is a pre-built, out-of-the-box integration with Great Plains. So the first piece here will be defining your base structure. So this will auto-detect directly from Great Plains. So in this sample database, I have a Fabricam database. You're going to see a account number as well as a department, and again, it's labeled segment 1, but at the end of the day, you know, you'll hear me say this a few times, you know, we're going to enforce your chart of accounts, your structural hierarchies, all of your dimensions, one-to-one within the tool. Next piece, simply mapping your structure into Budget Maestro, our account number, as well as our department. You see our resulting structures of your account numbers. I simply click import. Structure is imported into Budget Maestro, as well as your departments, import right into the system, as well as other dimensions you may have. And what we have that is unique to only Great Plains users is that transaction column selection. So these are columns that are available in Great Plains, so they can import this right into Budget Maestro to really bridge that gap between GP and Budget Maestro, where you're going to get all of the transaction level detail, all of the journal entries that make up any particular actual number. Last piece is just simply picking your parameters to import your actuals from this year, periods 1 to 9, to Budget Maestro in 2016, starting in period 1. I simply calculate and import. Everything automatically imports into the system. So when I come in, you see here all of my departments have now rolled in, as well as all of my account numbers roll right into the system here. So a few things, you know, again, this unique integration with Great Plains. We're going to talk about this screen momentarily in greater detail, but, you know, in our operating expenses here, you're going to be able to see your prior year actuals on the bottom of the screen here, I'm going to be able to right click and one, copy these values to my current budget if it made sense to. And two, you're going to be able to view the details down here. So again, this is going to be all of that transaction level detail, all of the journal entries that make up any particular actual number. So you're going to be able to see, again, all the different pieces here, the GL account, debit or credit amount, ref, so forth. So not only when you're running reports, whether you're running an actual report or a budget to actual comparison, you're going to be able to drill into any report anywhere in the tool where there's actuals. Simply right click, view the details. All of the journal entries will pop directly into this screen here. Okay? And you do not need a license to GP to view this data. It's really, again, bridging the gap. You can also set up different security preferences. If you don't want people to view that, you can set up the preference where they don't have to have that transaction level detail. Okay. Just wanted to quickly show that, and obviously, we can go in greater detail, at a later time if you want to do maybe a more one-on-one comprehensive session. So, let's come into Budget Maestro here and go over a lot of the fundamentals of the tool here. So here's our welcome page where essentially everyone with a license will centrally enter the tool. Depending on your security preferences, you may see a lot less tiles on this screen here, as well as you may see a lot less pieces of your organization coming down the left-hand side. And this page here is completely customizable, so I can right-click, press Customize. I can shift tiles, move tiles on the screen, move tiles off the screen. As you become more comfortable with the solution, you realize which sections of the tool you're often using versus which sections you don't use as frequently. On the top left-hand side here, this is our starting view. So this would be, your company's organizational structure, which can obviously vary, depending on how you as a company view your hierarchy. Common examples of this could be, multiple companies rolling up to a consolidated level, maybe different, divisions, call centers, departments, programs, projects, locations. The list goes on and on. Essentially, however you view your company and your dimensions, you can essentially think of these tabs here as tabs in an Excel sheet. However, to add another, dimension is just as easy, as dragging and dropping into one of these particular sample roll-ups, sample buckets, as opposed to Excel, where you'd have to go in and blow up your formula for consolidation. And you're also not limited to just one view. You're going to be able to have multiple views for reporting as well as working on the budget. I also have a managerial view here, just a different roll-up of the same information. Okay. So throughout today's presentation, we're going to start off in expenses, go over a lot of the fundamentals of the tool, jump into sales and income, personnel, capital planning, as well as version control and scenario analysis within the tool, what if scenarios as well as reforecasts. Then we're going to finish up on reporting within Budget Maestro as well as our advanced reporting, BI, dashboard, presentation style reporting here in Analytics Maestro. Okay, so let's jump into the tool here. So, you've already seen this screen before, but as you can see here, we have a simple Excel-like grid here coming across. We're going to simply come in, plug in numbers monthly as I go. I have my monthly totals tallying up top here for my particular part of the organization, as well as my fiscal year total at the end. And if I want to drag this over to the front, I can do so here. This page here is going to be completely customizable to your organization, but what we want to show you essentially is that we can add additional granularity. So again, at the end of the day, we're going to be enforcing your chart of accounts, your structural hierarchies one-to-one, but not necessarily hold you to it. So let me show you what I mean by that. I'm going to come in, filter out by just one GL account, 6340. So as you see here, we have the same GL account, the same department, but two levels of detail. So within Budget Maestro, you're going to be able to budget in greater detail, greater granularity below the GL line, as well as, while you're budgeting for your current year. Again, you're going to be able to see those prior year actuals on the bottom of the screen here, even copy those values to your current budget with, let's call it a 5% increase using the same trend from last year. And you'll now see that that travel example is now 5% higher than my prior year actuals. And again, you'll have that ability to drill down to the transaction level detail. But, most clients are just happy you can actually view those actuals. while you're budgeting for your current year. But there are a lot more advanced features here. So let's come into the advanced section here. But as you see here, we still have the same list of line items tied to my structure. Now essentially there's going to be three ways that you can enter data into the system. So the first way, again, just that manual process. You could plug in numbers monthly as you go. The second way is what we call simple auto, which is going to be a yearly amount with a particular spread method. And we have a number of spread methods already pre-built into the tool. Even 12 months, monthly amount, quarterly end, quarterly begin. But if you had any sort of seasonal spread or any other yearly spread, then we can very easily configure that into the tool. And the third way is what we call based upon. So you may want to calculate something or drive something based on anything else in the tool. In this example here, my office rental is based upon my square footage driver, which is held in my driver section, multiplied by a rate. So at the end of the day, any number that you put into this tool could be as simple or sophisticated as you want it to be. Okay? So one of the real claims to fame of Budget Maestro, essentially as you're building your P&L, Budget Maestro is going to be completely automating your balance sheet and cash flow projections for you. Budget Maestro is the only solution on the planet with integrated, out-of-the-box balance sheet and cash flows. Very simply just defining your payment terms and expenses, your receivable terms and sales and income, and Budget Maestro is going to be handling the rest for you. Okay, but we do have many more sophisticated and unique approaches. It's very easy to define any company-specific approaches. We have an accrual example here where we're building up our expense, paying it out quarterly. Also a prepaid example here where we're prepaying our expense and amortizing it throughout the quarter. And you're also going to have the ability to budget multiple years. Okay, Budget Maestro rolls out 60 years. Way more than anybody could ever possibly need, but the option is there if you need it with ease. If I simply just switch this from 1 year to 2 years, this expense is just going to keep on rolling out, until you give it a further assumption. Maybe an incremental year-over-year increase, or maybe a term date. We have start dates and end dates built into every section of the tool. But we'll show you a couple additional features of this product that really complement this, and why many companies have adopted some form of rolling budgets or a mid-year forecast when bringing on Budget Maestro. Okay. Now let's take a look at revenue, but I do just want to point out that everything that I've gone over so far here in expenses is going to be consistent throughout the rest of the solution. So, a lot of the basics we've already shown you in expenses apply to how most clients would typically want to budget their revenue. But, we do have a lot of specific tools that are built into this area of the product that could be industry specific or even company specific, such as different types of payer mixes for maybe healthcare organizations, percentage of Medicare, Medicaid, personal pay type situations, utilization rates for consulting or services, inventory or component costing for manufacturing organizations, cost of sales, cost of goods sold. A lot of companies don't budget to this level of detail today because you're in Excel. It can be a nightmare to manage, but great features to know you can grow into as you become more comfortable with the solution here. So there's just a few basics I'd like to point out here, just to take it a step further. The one we've already shown you so far in expenses, but the same concepts apply though. I can put in an annual amount with a spread method. I can manually plug in numbers monthly as I go, or I can base this number on anything else in the tool. But you see here we have this input orientation. So line by line, you can define each revenue stream by whether you want to budget in dollars or in units. Very common thing. Many companies may not want to only budget their revenue dollars, but also by some type of business unit. In units, again, just a general term can essentially mean anything. For example, billable hours, patient days, units of product, mileage, you name it. And then you can define a price and a cost as well. And even these can be taken to a whole nother level. Maybe you want to define your cost as a percentage of price, or cost as a percentage of net revenue, or maybe break out component costing such as labor, materials, overhead, so on and so forth. Another thing that we can do, since that business logic and intelligence is already pre-built into the tool, is defer revenue. So you see here we're booking an assumption in period 1, and we're recognizing that revenue evenly throughout the year, and we're taking in the cash 30 days later. Obviously, fairly simplified example, but we can handle this in all sorts of extravagant ways. This could even go across multiple years, if need be. Remember, Budget Maestro is always rolling out. So if you have to defer over, say, 18 months, we can certainly handle that. We have government contracts where they have to recognize their revenue based on a percentage of completion, based on costs with markups, or based on milestones, things like that. But bottom line here is, however you're booking your sales, however you're recognizing that revenue, however you're taking in the cash, into whatever level of detail or further dimensions that you'd like to break out, slice and dice reports by, are going to be completely independent and at your discretion. Now, obviously, we realize that revenue models can be unique for every business. That's why if you have any specific questions or want to know if we can do some unique things, please let us know, and we'll be happy to address that for you, in a more one-on-one setting. You'll be able to, set that up at a later date. Okay. Now let's talk about the personnel section here. So, Budget Maestro allows you to budget your workforce at the individual level or at the group level. So you'll be able to see, the detail and the accuracy as we walk through the example here. We understand the potential need to maybe want a budgeting group, so you maybe have some high turnover in certain positions, or maybe want to do some automated workforce planning, maybe drive your headcount based on certain factors, and we can certainly do that as well. So as you see here, I have my to-be-hired VP of Finance tied to my structure with the wage as well as the start date. So notice the start date is until the end of February, so we have no wages here in period 1, and the wages are prorated here in period 2. We handle all of the personnel-related expenses such as FICA, FUTA, SUTA, taxes. These are simply based upon your wages times a rate with a particular stop charge or cap. You can handle all of that very easily, as well as other factors such as maybe waiting periods on things like health insurance, 401k, workers' comp, maybe some sort of pension fund. We have clients all over the world. We haven't found a benefit or a tax that we can't handle yet. All of these are stored at a high level. We build them one time, and they're simply divvied out per person or per group of people depending on the benefits and taxes that they have. And again, with Budget Maestro, not just about the P&L, but all that detail and accuracy flowing all the way down to the balance sheet as well as the cash flow. We handle any sort of payment schedule such as weekly, bi-weekly, semi-monthly, or monthly, or commission-based. For taxes, in this example, set up as cash, could also accrue taxes and pay them out quarterly if you wish. I really just do not get a more accurate payroll budget than on a Budget Maestro. And again, we're also able to budget for those groups of employees, defining the head count, maybe change that head count based on some sort of seasonality with an average wage and fringes. This can be a sophisticated way to budget, but we can certainly handle that. And we also have the ability to budget out all different kinds of hours, regular hours, overtime, shift differentials, as well as automatically track FTEs, utilization rates, so on and so forth. Let's jump into capital assets here. So, Budget Maestro, similar to personnel, allows you to budget your assets at the individual level or at the group level. So as you see here, I have a group of to-be-acquired laptops, 5 of them, for $1,000 a piece, for a net asset value of $5,000. We've purchased these assets in January and didn't put them into service until March, so depreciation expense doesn't kick in until then. And then in August, we're actually disposing of these assets, so we handle all of the disposition adjustments as well. We have all of the GAAP depreciations built in, straight line, double declining, all the makers tables as well. But if you wanted to define your own depreciation schedule, that's fine. And maybe some sort of mid-month depreciation, you can certainly configure your own very easily. Okay. So let's jump in and talk a little bit about version control as well as scenario analysis. So obviously, you may want to run different scenarios of your budget. Have multiple versions. Budget Maestro has some powerful tools that are going to allow you to do this with ease. In our versions, they're all about full control, flexibility immediately, with the push of a few simple buttons. In most other tools, they are able to accommodate for this. They'll come on site when they have some availability. Maybe spend a few weeks hard coding a new version. Might be able to, say increase this or decrease that, but that's a function much like Excel. If somebody asked you to do it, you could probably open up your spreadsheet and do that, no problem. However, if somebody asks you, well, what if we do say this? You realize this may contradict your whole model. Could be a completely new view on your business. You still may like to try it. It might be a great idea. With Excel and other program-based tools, you'd have to go in and break up your links and blow up your formulas and add rows and columns and tabs and redo all those formulas. Essentially, reprogram everything. With Budget Maestro, simply not the case. Plus, that new model that you built, that you went to the trouble of reprogramming, pretty tough to compare that to the original anymore. Maybe just the bottom line, but really none of that meat in the middle, because again, just doesn't line up anymore. So, a couple of scenarios here. You're thinking maybe you overcomplicated a couple of steps in the budget process. I can simply come into my version setup, create an identical copy of my original budget. We call this my second pass budget. I can come into something like expenses here and think, what, this office rental, it's overcomplicated. It really isn't based on a driver times a rate. I already know what it's going to be. It's going to be a flat amount. I can simply come in to my second pass budget, completely change this assumption to, let's say, $24,000 spread evenly, just $2,000 per month. And then instead of paying out in 60 days, we're just going to pay it out in cash every month. So the balance sheet and cash flow automatically update as well. But I still have that original budget where it is based upon the driver times a rate paying out days. Now, if I want to do something like this on a more, mass level, make more mass assumptions across the organization, we also have what we call the what if scenario wizard. So I can come in here, create a new version. Let's call this my best case scenario. I can come in, add a couple of assumptions here. You can get very granular here, but for now, let's just say we're going to expect a 15% increase in sales, maybe a 5% decrease in expenses, and the company's doing so well, I'm going to give everybody a raise. Everybody's going to be getting a 3% raise starting in period 5. And I can now pick these assumptions across any piece of my organization. In my case, I have my departments here, so I'm going to grab all of my sales assumptions, as well as all of my expense assumptions here, as well as all the people in my personnel here. So now when I've finished, I now have, yet again, another fully functioning version, from that drop-down, where I'm going to be able to come into and maybe make some necessary tweaks or changes moving forward, or simply use it for variance reporting, to see how I did versus my original budget versus my actuals, so on and so forth. Another wizard that we have is what we call the reforecast wizard. So this is going to allow you to do, is splice in your actuals, whether you're doing this monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, with your remaining budget for, yet again, another fully functioning version where you're then going to be able to come into, and again, maybe make those necessary tweaks or changes moving forward for the rest of the year, maybe for the next 12 months. So you really have that true dynamic rolling budget. Okay. So let's jump into reporting here. Okay. So, the key to reporting, within Budget Maestro is going to be these column formats here, as well as these row views. So, we have a number of row views already pre-built into the tool. We already have a standard GAAP compliant income statement, balance sheet, cash flow, so on. But, the bottom line here is because we have that financial intelligence and logic already pre-built into the tool. Now, you've seen throughout the demonstration, Budget Maestro has been doing the math for us in each section, automating all the debits and credits, P&L, automatically driving balance sheet and cash flow, so on and so forth. So, unlike other tools, you do not have to program in how you want to roll up your accounts and then program in the math. Budget Maestro already knows how to do these calculations. All you have to do is simply define, how you want to roll up these accounts, and then drag and drop them anywhere on the report. Now, you really have full flexibility when it comes to creating these views. So let's drill into a P&L here. And as I drill in, I'll be able to drill all the way down to the lowest level of detail. See my telephonic communications on here totaling 4,200. As I drill below that, there's my two levels of detail, the cell phone as well as the landline that we talked about earlier, and operating expenses. Okay. Let's run a cash flow report as well and drill down here. So as I drill into my cash flow here, you're going to be able to see, as I drill in, there's my disposition of my laptops in August from capital assets. Now, you're going to be able to see all of your accounts receivable, moving in and out of your cash flow. All of your accounts payable, moving in and out of your cash flow. No other solution on the planet full of detail in terms of a forecasted cash flow. But, if all you care about is the numbers, you're going to get every report you need out of Budget Maestro. Again, very easy to use report writer. Literally drag and drop the accounts into how you need them to roll up. Compare up to 4 versions here. Budget to actuals to prior year to a different budget version, whatever it may be. Run month over month, quarter over quarter, year over year reports, as well as slice and dice those reports across any piece of your organization. Then we also have, that next level BI dashboard presentation style reporting here in Analytics Maestro. But, realistically, at the end of the day, I could have created this report in Budget Maestro, exported it out to Excel, built all these pretty charts and graphs around it. But if this is something that I'm doing on a monthly basis, quarterly basis, sending off to department heads and executives, I have no desire to build this entire book of reports every time I need them. It's Analytics Maestro, and in turn, into Analytics Maestro. So all of your budgetary information, all of your actual information will feed directly in here. Even if something happens, someone comes in, you overwrite some information, mistakes happen. You can simply come in, press refresh sheet. All the most up-to-date data goes right back to where it needs to be. So we have another sample dashboard here, revenue, expense, net income, with some charts and graphs below it here. We have a year-over-year income statement. As I'm kind of clicking around in the formula bar, notice there's no links, there's no formulas. We're letting Budget Maestro handle any sort of calculations. We're simply reporting on the numbers, on the results out here. I have a quarterly income statement here. As I drill into Q3, I simply double-click. Period 7, 8, and 9 pop out. If I don't need it, I can simply zoom back out. Q3 pops back on the screen here. You're also going to have the ability to have that transaction level detail in Analytics Maestro as well. Again, picking those different fields that you'd like to have directly from GP. We have another year-over-year budget to actuals, as well as the variance in here with some KPIs built in on the bottom here. At the end of the day, you're going to be able to put a report in any format that you need. And during our comprehensive training workshop, that's exactly what we do. We don't just train you on static data. We actually, build your chart of accounts, build your structure, build your key reports, and in turn, build your budget during that training process if you decided to move forward with Budget Maestro. Okay. Here's another monthly reforecast here, a couple months of actuals, the rest budget. As we move down our budget to, say, period 7, I now press refresh sheet. All the most up-to-date data flows in. We now have 6 months of actuals and 6 months of budget here. KPIs update accordingly. But, might not just be about P&L, applications. Might also be about, balance sheet. A couple of years here, as well as maybe any non-financial accounts, different drivers of my budget. Headcount, total hours, planned hours for a couple of years coming across the various pieces of my organization. Okay. But again, the sky is the limit here. You're going to be able to put reports in any format that you need with any data that you need. Okay. So that is what I have planned to show this afternoon. I'm going to turn it back over to the folks at Paradigm as well as Sue. Thank you for the time.
Great. Thanks so much, Mike. Really appreciate that. If you're interested in learning more, please reach out to Jason and Michael to set up a follow-up call with one of our account executives. They'd be happy to provide you with pricing. We can go into a more detailed demo if you'd like. But that concludes our presentation at Budget Maestro. Michael, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
We just have a couple of questions if we can, hopefully Mike's still on the line here.
Yes.
Okay, so we had a couple questions come in surrounding workflow. So how could we tell who is working on a budget or where the status is or anything like that? What kind of workflow do we have within the Budget Maestro?
Certainly, yeah, and I can actually demonstrate that here as well. So I believe I popped myself back on the screen here. So let's come into Budget Maestro here. And let me get out of here. So, right now I am the administrator of this database. So I have access to, every piece of Budget Maestro as well as every part of my organization. But, we have security and workflow preferences. You can come in. So really there's going to be 4 levels of security. So the first level starts with which versions of Budget Maestro you'd like people to have access to. The second piece is, the different sections of Budget Maestro. So the personnel section, the sales and income section, the expense section, so on and so forth. You'd be able to give people full access, read-only access, or no access. The next piece is then determining what part of your organization you'd like people to have access to. Last piece is determining what report rollouts people are able to view. So as I log out of here and I log in as Chris. Chris is one of my sample department heads in here. So as you see here, pretty evident, pretty obvious what Chris's responsibilities are. He's got his one part of the organization, the administration department. Maybe come in, plug in a handful of expenses. Maybe come in, plug in a handful of metrics in the driver section that automatically drive revenue or drive headcount increase in personnel, so on and so forth. Maybe run a handful of reports, tie out his numbers. Once Chris is done with his part of the budget, simply comes in, submits his budget. So once Chris has submitted his budget, he's now locked himself out to read-only view until his ultimate authority comes in and either accepts or rejects his piece. So as I log back out, log back in as the administrator, I can now come back into my workflow as management, and I now have full vision into who's not started their budget, who's in progress, as well as the progress they've made here with our built-in audit trail, as well as who submitted our budget. So I can come in, put Chris's budget under review, come into his part of the organization here. And you see here we have these description fields up to 128 characters that will show up on reports where maybe Chris will add in some justifications for his expenses, maybe some variances month over month, things like that. Maybe come in, plug in it. You as the reviewer may come in, plug in a handful of notes as well. There's also a full notes section here where you can write in a novel if need be. As much detail as you need, no character limit, as well as attach any supporting documentation, invoice, PDF, spreadsheet, if it made sense to. Okay.
Great, thank you very much. It was very informative on the workflow there. Another quick question, I know this is an easy one for you. How many budgets can we have within Budget Maestro?
As many as you want. You know what? I lied. There actually is a cap. I believe it's like 1,500 or something like that. So we haven't had anyone reach that cap yet, but so close to unlimited.
All right. And I got one more here that came in was question was about pushing budget data back to GP. I guess we saw where we can run reports out of the Budget Maestro, but is there a way or is there a need to push information back to GP as well?
Well, it's totally up to you. The integration to GP is bidirectional, so there actually is an export feature as well, where the only difference is it would say from Budget Maestro to GP. So you have the ability to do it. Again, the integration is bidirectional. You can pull your budgetary information in, do your budget, push it back into the GP onto the GP budget card. But we find that most of our users don't typically do that because they'll use the reporting within Budget Maestro as well as Analytics Maestro. But the possibilities are there. If you like how your GP reporting, management report, or whatever it may be, you can push all this information back into GP.
Great, thank you very much. Looking in the chat here, and I'm not seeing any other questions. Anyone else has a question, if you'd like to go ahead and put it in the chat area, we can certainly answer it now. Otherwise, we can certainly do follow-ups afterwards for more detailed discussions as well. Give it another minute here to make sure, see if anybody else is asking anything. I'm not seeing any other questions. Anything else that you wanted to add in there, Mike?
Yeah, the last piece I wanted to add in, going back to what I said in the revenue section, that's typically, expenses, personnel, reporting, things like that. That's pretty, standard across every industry. Everyone needs reporting. Everyone needs to plug in expenses. But, the revenue model obviously is going to be completely different for every organization. So, if you had some questions on, any particular questions about your organization, we'd be happy to set up some one-on-one time with you to go over, sort of a needs analysis call, if you will, and then we'll be happy to jump back in the tool and do a live demonstration one-on-one.
Great, sounds great. Sue, anything on your end?
Nope, that's it. Thank you guys so much for attending. Really appreciate it. And like I said, if you have any further questions, definitely reach out to Michael or Jason, and they can set up a follow-up meeting with one of our AEs.
All right, very good. Well, on behalf of Paradigm, we'd like to take this opportunity to thank both Sue and Mike for presenting the Centage Budget Maestro Budgeting and Forecasting webinar this afternoon. Again, for any of the attendees, we will be following up with you to see if there's any additional questions. But if you can't wait for that, please feel free to reach out to us at sales@ptcllc.com. with any questions, and we'll be sure to get back to you. Again, thank you all for your time today, and we look forward to hearing from you. Again, thanks, Sue. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye now.